There's a good chance that Penn State and Mike Rhodes can upset Purdue.
You are Locked On Nittany Lions, your daily podcast on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And as always, thanks so much for making Locked On Nittany Lions your first listen and watch every single day. My name is Zach Seyko. I am your host of the show, and help me welcome back associate producer, Penn State men's basketball correspondent to the show, Zane Brancefield, as we are talking Penn State versus Purdue. And Penn State has a good chance of upsetting the Boilermakers. Purdue coming into this one, number 8 overall. Similar records between the two, 7-1 overall, both teams. But Penn State is the odds-on favorite to win this game, Zane. Short favorite. But they are a 2-point favorite, according to the books here. Total set at about 150.5. Zane, is it the home court advantage? Is it the fact that now Penn State has the height advantage with Conan Niederhauser and no Zach Edey? And Penn State, defensively, I think that's the key in this game.
Yeah, I was definitely surprised that Penn State was a favor in this game. But the thing is, like, this Penn State team, I think, wants it more. They're grittier. They kind of play with a chip on their shoulder in every game. Like, they were very much in that Clemson game, which was their one loss this season. And Clemson beat number 4 ranked Kentucky. So it's not like Clemson was a pushover team. And like you said, Penn State definitely has kind of a size advantage. Their starting center, the Boilermakers, is Trey Hoffman-Renn. He's 6'9".
Oh, now, but he's good. He is talented.
Yeah, he's very physical, too, because he's about similar weight to his Yannick. And so that kind of allows them to have that, like, bang-for-bang matchup, which will definitely be a key point for this Penn State team, depending on if Yannick can limit him. And then, obviously, you have to look at Braden Smith, who's been a good player, who's kind of like the Robin to Zach Edey the past few seasons, but he's very good. And the thing is, he has 9.1 assists, which is second in the nation and first in the Big Ten. That's very good, which is going to make Ace Baldwin Jr.'s job a whole lot harder, because it's not he has to prevent him from scoring. He has to prevent him from passing, getting his teammates open. And they have a few guys, actually, that score over 15 points. Lawyer is going to be a matchup probably for Freddie DeLeon, and he averages over 13. And Penn State definitely, they can win this game. Penn State turns the ball over about the same amount. I think it's a 1-point difference between them. But where Penn State gets it is their opponents, they force 17 turnovers. And while Purdue only forces it over 12 times per game, that's definitely going to be a challenge for the Boilermakers going up against this Mike Rhodes defense, who likes to play fast. They like to play physical, and they pressure throughout the whole game. And Penn State has more depth in that sense, because I think this is a game where we see a little bit more of Dominic Stewart and Javin Carter.
Okay.
And just because Mike Rhodes wants to keep his guys fresh if something happens along the line, because you can't go into a game against a number 8 ranked team and get tired halfway through. Now, this Mike Rhodes Penn State team is very well conditioned, but you still don't want your guys to be tired come fourth quarter, especially if you're banging around with some big guys like Trey Hoffman-Renn or Braden Smith, who like to use their body as they get to the basket.
Penn State has been scoring close to 100 points almost on any given night. Most recently, they beat Buffalo 87-64. The non-conference schedule wasn't that tough, and that's where I look to Purdue. Purdue's battle-tested. They've faced a ranked Ole Miss team. Purdue's only loss is to Marquette, who obviously is going to be a tournament caliber team. And they beat number 2 Alabama at the time. So that's where I look at this game, and as good of a chance that Penn State has to upset the Boilermakers. Matt Painter and this group they still know how to play in this setting. They know what the stakes are. Do I believe that home court advantage matters? Absolutely. Size, the height advantage now in favor of Penn State with Yannick Conan Niederhauser, as we pointed out earlier. But the shooting. Purdue is a better shooting team than Penn State. And if Penn State can't force enough turnovers, that's going to be that is the key across the board. Penn State wins this game Because that's how Purdue lost. Purdue had 15 turnovers to 6 when they played Marquette, and they lost by double digits. So if Penn State can replicate that, easier said than done, because now this is a veteran backcourt for Purdue. 2 years ago, even with Zach Edey, I would actually say that I would actually like Penn State in this situation because Ace Baldwin as the defender, Freddie DeLeon, as you mentioned, add Nick Kern Jr. in there. That trio is honestly the best defensive backcourt in the Big Ten, even has a conversation for the entire country. But my point being is, if you don't force those turnovers, you're not going to win this game because I don't know that Penn State has a better shooting night. Now, you can if you force the turnovers, but like I said, Matt Painter already has that on the schedule as a point of emphasis. We can't let this happen again, and this is what Penn State likes to do.
Yeah, definitely turnovers. Key point. I mentioned also in a video I made that two biggest things in basketball, especially college basketball, are rebounding and turnovers. If you can win those battles, you're going to have a far better chance of winning the game. And Penn State has better turnovers, better rebounding in their games. And they've lost one game all season. And like I said, it was a good Clemson team. So I think Penn State can win this rebound game. They get more rebounds than what Purdue does. They force more turnovers. You mentioned the trio, defensive backcourt. Penn State has other guys too. Like you look at Puff Johnson, who's 6'5" and can guard any position. And Penn State is ready to come in here, but like you said, Purdue's battle tested. They've played good teams. Matt Painter is an excellent college basketball coach. And frankly, like if you look at it on paper, you could say, oh, Purdue's going to win. They've played more talent, but who's to say Penn State can't like play with the best of them and can't make some noise? And fans should be showing up. It looks like tickets are going to be close to a sellout. And Penn State, like I said, they play with a chip on their shoulder. They're gritty. They dive for the balls a lot more than other college teams I've watched this season. And like I said, they want to win. Like there's a level of skill and talent, but if you have to want to win in college ball. Like you look at March Madness and there's teams who like 16 seeds who upset 1 seeds because they want to win. They have nothing to lose. And Penn State plays like that game in and game out every single night. They can overcome deficits if they're down in the first half and they play hard. This Penn State team is a full 40-minute team, whether they lack offensively or then they pick it up defensively. They have a complete game, and they have other guys. Like if a guy in the offensive or the starting lineup is slow, you put in like a guy like DeMarco Dunn, Nick Kern Jr. And Penn State has that depth, that versatility, and I think it's going to translate well against Purdue, who frankly only likes to roll with like a top 7 guys, where Penn State can go 8, 9 deep. And I think that's going to work to Penn State's favor. And Mike Rhodes is a very good basketball coach, and he knows what their game plan is going to be. It's going to be play the ball through Braden Smith, Trey Kaufman-Red, and figure it out from there. So if you stop those guys, and I think they can, like we mentioned, Yannick is bigger. Ace Baldwin Jr. is about the same size, a little bit bigger than Braden Smith. It's going to be a tough game, like 1.5 point spread. It's not going to be a blowout, but I think Penn State can win this game by like 5 points.
All right, then let's make some predictions, back it up here, talk about some other key matchups here. Ace Baldwin is going to go up against Braden Smith. He will shadow him for most of the night. And if I can't imagine, honestly, in this game to set the tone, I don't know that Ace Baldwin comes off the floor at any point in time. Maybe for 30 seconds, 60 seconds. He is playing 40 minutes, if not as close to it, maybe 38 or 39. I don't think anything lower than that because Mike Rhodes knows what's at stake here. This is an early season defining win. Now, when you get to March, are you going to look back at this game? Potentially, but I think this just sets up the momentum for Penn State to start stacking some victories if you can knock off a top 10 Purdue team. The key is simple. You're going to have to find a way to force missed shots from Purdue. They pass the ball well. They distribute it. They don't have Zach Edey to clean up the glass anymore, but go figure, you really don't need him to because you're not missing shots. You mentioned the physicality down in the front court with Kaufman-Wren. I unfortunately have to still side with Purdue here. I didn't like Penn State's non-conference schedule. This doesn't define what I think what I think of Penn State as a team this season. I think this is a tournament team, and it's going to be a close game. Purdue's battle-tested. Purdue has also built this team. Penn State's still kind of figuring things out. They're still in that transitory period because they continue to build through the transfer portal, and that's no knock. Mike Rhoades is doing what he has to do to get this program to be as competitive as possible in the present. But Purdue's played the long game here. And these guys have waited their turn, like a Kaufman-Wren, for example, when it was the Zach Seyko show, and now they passed the baton to him. He wasn't picked up through the transfer portal. This is a guy that has been here and waited his turn. So Penn State can win. I think it's close. I think this is a one or two basket type of game. I will go Purdue 72, Penn State 68. I think it does go under the total because possessions are going to be at a premium. I know that Penn State is going to play full court press. They're going to try to run, but Purdue doesn't have Zach Seyko out there, so they can run. They can run and keep up with the tempo, and I don't know that Penn State's shooting defense is enough to stop Purdue at this point in time. A lot of lessons can be learned here. It doesn't define what I think of. This doesn't change how I think about Penn State men's basketball if they happen to lose this game by 3 or 4 points.
Yeah, like you said, it could go either way. But like I said, I think Penn State could win like 5 points. So we could say like
what's
70,
the difference? What's the difference
68. And I just look at it as a different way. I think Penn State can get the job done. I think they can force those missed shots, like you said, and I think they can get more rebounds. I think they can get more turnovers. And like I said, this Penn State team is deeper. They are very well conditioned. I agree that Ace Baldwin Jr. will probably play close to 40 minutes. And I think Penn State just has that extra edge. Like, they don't have anything to lose. It's not like they're a ranked team. They didn't even receive any votes in this week's AP poll. Like, Penn State wants to get there. They know what they're capable of. If you talk to the players, they're like, we know we are a March Madness caliber team. We know we can be good. And I'm going to hop on the train now and go with them and see what they can do. And I think this is where it starts, is with a win over number 8 Purdue.
See, and that's my point. I don't think anybody should leave the train if they happen to lose this game. This does not define this Penn State team. It's kind of the same thing with Penn State football losing to Ohio State. There is still a pecking order here in Big Ten basketball. So maybe Penn State and Mike Rhoades can prove me wrong this early in the season. I still think better days are ahead for this group. Just right now, this is a daunting matchup when Purdue has played Alabama, Ole Miss, Marquette, and Penn State's just played Clemson. So I really think that being battle tested is that much of a difference here early in the season. He is Zane Brancefield over on the other side, associate producer to the show. My name is Zach Seyko, your host as always. Let us know your final score predictions down in the comments section. Thank you so much for checking out this episode, and we will see you again on the other side to recap this one as well here on Locked On Nittany Lions.